We live?
Let me tell you. You are live. We live.
Where do we see the chats and stuff?
Well, we'll do this one together, and then when the students come in, I'll tell you what they're saying.
Oh, okay. I can't see it on my end.
I'm gonna type and see if it pops up. Let's see.
Okay.
Wow. Join the conversation, interact. Nice. I can't even comment.
You can't?
Nope. Oh, okay, yeah. You can't? You got me comment, yep. You see me?
Yeah, I don't see anything.
You can probably put a phone down now.
Oh, okay.
We good. You remember that chat button on the screen? It's at the bottom.
At the bottom right now, this is what mine is showing. You see it?
You see the chat button? Oh, not that button. Tap the screen itself real quick. There's a chat button to the right.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Hit that. Let me see.
I gotta tap it. I just tapped it. But when I tap it, it don't do nothing.
We got 3 people on the stream, so we could probably get into some stuff. Talk about some cars.
Can y'all hear me? We live.
Yes, sir. We live.
Go ahead and answer. Who we got on right now?
Well, who we got on right now? You can ask them to comment in the chat so we can see if they have any questions. But they're on here.
Okay, yeah. Drop your comments in the chat. Drop your questions in the chat so we can see.
And we're streaming too, Ali.
Yeah.
You can just get into some stuff, start talking about some cars. So maybe the announcements and what we have going on this year.
Okay, guys. We'll give you guys a few announcements. We will be at Odessa, Atlanta Auto Auction tomorrow in the morning for the training. So for you guys that want training, you can book an appointment on the Calendly through Calendly. So make sure you do that for you guys that want. A lot of you guys are asking me about in-house training. Now, I'm going to go over a few questions with you guys. Some of the number one questions that I'm getting at the auction. A lot of people, I'm getting an echo. Hold on. Let me fix this right. Technical difficulty. You getting the echo? Get that better right there. Hold on, my end. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Okay, guys. Yeah. So sorry about that, man. I had a first stream right here, so we're having a few technical difficulties, but we're gonna get through it. But yeah, guys, drop your questions. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat. Drop your questions in the chat, and I'm trying to get on the chat so I can see if so I can see if I can see you guys' questions. But yeah, wanted to go over a few things, man. At these auctions, man, we had a few people that are having a lot of problem as far as which cars to buy, which cars are as is, which cars you can get like a warranty or a PSI on. So I wanted to go over that real quick with you guys. Very, very important. Guys, when you're in the lane, you're going to look for a red light. So your red light cars are going to be your as is cars, right? Those cars are, once you buy them, they don't know, the auction cannot guarantee, what's going on with it. It could have a blown head gasket. It can have transmission issues. Those cars can have, all kind of problems. So what I teach you guys is, and for you new students, is when you're at these auctions, you want to make sure and test drive those cars. You know what I'm saying? Very, very important. A second thing you want to do is bring your code reader. I teach a lot of the students to use the Autel code reader, and I'll drop that. The Autel code reader it can pull the live data reports. It's pretty generic. It's pretty easy to use. You can read all the codes because you want to know if that car has any catalytic converter codes, any O2 sensor codes. And then once it pulls a code, you want to go and do the research on that code. So you can see, okay, I'm going to need, an EGR valve, or I'm going to need, this vehicle is going to need a catalytic converter, or this vehicle is going to need, could need coil packs or spark plug. So very, very important, guys, that okay, I'm going to need to put X amount of dollars in this car. So that way it's going to determine even if you want to buy the car. You know what I mean? A lot of times you may see a speed sensor or, two or three transmission codes. And then you want to do your research because that speed sensor or that transmission code, it could be internally. It could be inside of the transmission, which they got to pull that transmission. Some people are like, oh, coach, it just needs a transmission sensor. Where is that sensor located? If it's on the inside of the transmission, that means they got to pull that. A lot of times they have to pull that transmission and go in there and replace it from the inside, and the labor cost on that can get really expensive, guys. So make sure, man, on these as is cars, you do your due diligence as far as checking them out properly. I do have a 20-point inspection check that I have inside our auto dealer startup app. So a lot of the students can go to that app, and it shows a list of things that we want to check out when we checking out these cars. Very, very, very important. I've seen dealers get burned on as is cars because once you win that bid in the lane, it's yours. You got to pay for that car. And things can get expensive. I've seen guys buy cars right in the lane without checking it out. It comes through. It's looking good. It's all shiny. They got the tire shine on there. They got it smelling good, and something's going on with that vehicle. So be very, very mindful about that. The second point is make sure when you're there at the auction. I teach the guys to buy from the banks or finance companies. You know what I mean? A couple of banks I like to buy from are UAC, Bridgecrest Financial, Santander, Wells Fargo. So you guys want to make sure and buy from the banks because 9 times out of 10, that vehicle is what's called a bank repo. Or, you want to buy from the franchise dealership, Ed Boys Acura. It'll say Gwinnett Honda, Nally Toyota. So you want to buy from the dealerships because those vehicles have been either repoed or they have gotten that vehicle in on a trade. So you want to make sure and stay away from, Tom and Jerry Auto Sales or, Kevin and Lenny auto sales, or your small independent dealerships, or your small independent auto sales like myself. Because if we're bringing that car back to the auction, it's a reason. You know what I mean? You got to ask. A red flag should automatically go up, right? That's saying, man, why am I not selling that car? Why don't I have that car on Facebook Market? Why I don't have that car on, you know, offer up? Why am I not trying to sell that car? So that's very, 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 very important. I mean, a red flag will go up for those type of vehicles. So the reason is I'm bringing that car because I can't, you know what I'm saying? I can't sell that vehicle. Um, but yeah, guys, as I'm speaking, I want you guys to go ahead and ask your questions. You know, ask any questions, drop those questions, you know, make sure and drop those questions in the chat, or you can ask those questions. You know, any questions that you guys have, or you may not understand the auction process, make sure and drop that question in the chat, or make sure and just reach out and ask that question. But but yeah, so yeah, very, very important. Um, you want to know who is the seller. Very, very important. I've seen guys that have dealer license for a year or two, and they don't know, you know what I mean, where, they see a car going through the lane and they don't know who the seller is. They don't know what franchise dealership. They don't know if it's UAC, if it's a Bridgecrest Financial, if it's Santander, if it's Wells Fargo Bank, if it's Bank of America that's selling that car. Very, very important on who's selling that car. They don't know if it's, like I said, if it's, Joe and Joe Auto Sales, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, a red flag needs to go up. You know what I mean? When you see independent, what is an independent used auto dealer? It's a small dealer like such as myself. You know, we're not the big franchise dealerships. So a red flag is automatically going to go up. Those are your as is cars. So those are some of the questions you want to ask yourself, and that's what you want to look for. Now, let's get to the green light vehicles. Those vehicles are being sold with any unknown defects. You can get what's called a PSI, guys, which is a post-sale inspection for you guys that are in the rental game, whether that's on Turo platform, whether you're doing a private car rental, whether you're trying to finance that car. You know what I mean? When you're looking for cars that just have no problems or problem-free, you want to go with your green light cars. You know what I mean? You can get a 7-day or a 14-day PSI, a post-sale inspection. I suggest to go ahead and get the 14-day, and that's a full money back guarantee. A lot of people say, well, what is a PSI? A PSI is a post-sale inspection where you can pay for an extra 14-day guarantee. So if anything goes wrong with that vehicle in those 14 days, you're going to get full money back guarantee. So that's why I say get the 14-day. Your green light cars as well, a lot of times some of the newer cars, they even come with the manufacturer's warranty. So when you're trying to finance those cars, or you know what I mean, you're looking for just cars with just no problems at all, you know what I mean, you want to stick to your green light cars. Now, a lot of times you'll see a yellow light, or you'll see a green light with a yellow light. Very, 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 very important. Reason why is on those vehicles that have the yellow light, it's saying look in the announcements. So you'll look at the auction board, it'll be listed. Sometime the auctioneer will announce. He will say, hey, this vehicle right here is being sold with the transmission is slipping. So a lot of times in the announcement on the yellow light, it's warning you. It's saying, hey, we're going to let you know what's going on with this vehicle. You have to pay attention to that board, and you have to make sure. Hurricane said, can you explain why not to be emotional when bidding on any vehicle? Oh, very, very great question. Okay, let me finish up the yellow light. Okay, so guys, on the yellow light, and then I'm gonna answer Hurricane's his question. So on the yellow light, they're going to announce, man, what's going on with that vehicle. So you have to pay attention to the announcement, because I've seen them. They may have a green light with a yellow light next to it. So if they're saying, okay, this car is green light, but the yellow light showing that the transmission is slipping, you cannot arbitrate for the transmission, because they told you. So you got to pay close attention to the screen. Very, very important. Okay, so Hurricane, his question was, guys, explain to you guys why to stay non-emotional in the lane, right? And for a lot of dealers, we get like kids in the candy store. We see something nice coming through. We see something shiny, it's clean. You know what I mean? It looks good, and we get emotional. You know what I mean? We say, man, we know we haven't checked that car out, and it's a red light car, but we get excited, and the price is good. So we get emotional instead of being disciplined. You know what I mean? And just think, let's just back up off of it. Let me wait a minute, man. I haven't checked this car out. It's on a red light. You know what I mean? I haven't put my code reader on it. I don't know what hidden codes in it. I don't know if they erased the codes. You know what I mean? With the live data report, it shows you if those codes have been erased. You know what I mean? So a lot of guys get burned because they get emotional. You know what I mean? They get caught in the lane and they like, man, it looked good. You know what I mean? Even though I didn't check it out, and somebody gets burned every single time, and they ended up winning that bid. And the next thing you know, man, it's got a bad transmission, or it's got a bottom end knock, or you know what I mean, it's gonna need catalytic converters, and that vehicle just happened to have two catalytic converters that are like, $600 per cat plus labor. So you know what I'm saying, very very important, man, is to stay disciplined and stay non-emotional, man. Stick to your guns. Stick to your education. Stick to your training. Go the day before, right? You want to go the day before and check these vehicles out. Every auction has what's called a preview day. Tomorrow I'm gonna be out at Odessa, Atlanta, and I'm gonna be previewing because the auction is on Wednesday. So Wednesday is game time. It's just like you being, you know what I mean, in sports, right? You gotta practice. You know what I mean? You have to practice before game day. Same thing with the auction, man. So our preview is like our practice day. You know what I mean? So you want to get out there, you want to test drive as many vehicles you can on the track. You know what I mean? You want to put your code reader on many vehicles that you plan on buying that are going to be in your price range. And you want to just do your due diligence. You want to do your homework. You want to do your research. You know, a lot of times it ain't about what you can buy a car for, it's about what you can sell it for. You know what I mean? So very, very important, man, to do your training and do the research the day before. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't even go to preview day. They just show up on game day. You know what I mean? They haven't practiced. They haven't put the work in. They just show up on game day, and they see these cars going through the lane. And I've seen guys buy 3, 4 bad car after bad car, bad car. Let me give you an example, man. I was at the auction like 2 weeks ago, and there was a car that, you know what I mean, I was training someone, and we had test drove, and the transmission in third gear was just boom, boom. It was hitting hard. And I seen a guy, you know what I mean, at the auction the next day. He was in the lane and he won the bid on that vehicle, and he paid like $3,200 for that car without knowing that it had a bad, you know what I mean, bad transmission. I wanted to tell him, but by the time I had got over there, I said, man, did you know that vehicle had, you know what I mean, the transmission? He's like, oh, I didn't know. I said, yeah. I said, you want to get out the day before, man, and test, because it was as is. It was on a red light. He couldn't arbitrate it. You can't get a warrant. You can't get a post-sale inspection, which is a 14-day guarantee. You know what I mean? And he never put in the homework. He just showed up on auction day and won that bid. You know what I mean? And now he just bought a vehicle for $3,200. Plus, remember your auction fee. Every auction is going to have their fee. So look out for some of it, just depending on the price of that vehicle. The cheaper you win it for, the cheaper that fee is going to be. As you get around, you know, a $3,200 vehicle, that vehicle is going to be somewhere between $300 and $400. So he was like he was like $3,600 out the door, and he had no idea that he bought a vehicle with a bad transmission. And I was like, wow, you know what I mean? Just because he didn't get there the day before, you know, and put in the work. But yeah, very, very important, man. Stay disciplined, stay non-emotional, and go the day before and put that work in. You know what I mean? You can make a lot of money in this business. Okay, the blue light. I got a question, guys. Can you explain what the blue light is at Manheim? Okay, blue light means, guys, when you see a blue light, whether that's at Odessa or Manheim, all that means is the title is absent. You know what I mean? You got a title absent vehicle. But remember, guys, you're buying from private dealer auctions. You know what I mean? Private dealer auction only. So they guarantee that you're going to get a title within 30 days. Now, a lot of times you get that title in, 2, 3, 4 days. In most cases, that title is there the next day. So if you ever see the blue light on, they're saying title is absent. That means the franchise dealer or the seller, hasn't got that title there to the auction yet. That's all it means. There's nothing to worry about, nothing to get scared about. I've had people come up to me and say, "Coach, man, they saying the title's absent, man. What does that mean?" Calm down, relax. It's just saying that the title hasn't gotten there, you know what I'm saying, yet. They're going to drop it off, give them 2, 3 days. But the thing about buying from Manheim, whether that's Manheim, whether that's CarMax, Odessa, Auto Nation, American Auto Auction, when you buy from a private dealer auction, they have to perfect that title within 30 days. If they don't, guys, don't worry, you get full money back guarantee. Now, in my 20 years of being in this business, has that ever happened? It may have happened like one time, I believe. The title wasn't there. And it was on the 35th, 36th day. I just said, you know what, just give me my money back because they were having some type of difficulties getting that title. So that happened to me one time, guys, in over, my 20 years of being in this business. So, don't get bent out of shape because of the blue light. Um, but yeah, guys, drop your questions, man. Ask your questions, and I'll answer all of you guys' questions tonight. Um, Now, I wanted to get in something else as well. I had one of my students was asking me about hybrid vehicles, those hybrid EV vehicles. Um, I teach the students to stay away from a hybrid EV unless you know what I mean. You can get a green light and it's in their arbitration policy. And here's the reason why: you have to be careful with that hybrid EV because those batteries on those cars, and I dropped the post inside the school community earlier today. Those batteries can cost you anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000 just for the battery. That's not including labor. Labor just depending if they have to, you know, program that battery. Now you're talking about another $500 to $1,000 just to get it installed. You know what I mean? And I've seen guys buy a 20, let's say a 2014 Hyundai Sonata, right? You picked up that car for like a good price, $2,800, right? You can sell that car for $5,500, but you know what I mean? After driving it for 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 45 minutes, man, the battery dies off. You got to reset it. You got to cut it off. It starts sputtering and stuff. Now you find out that you got a bad battery. And like I said, guys, those EV cars, man, those hybrids, man, when you get a bad battery, you're going to, a lot of times, man, just to replace that battery costs more than what you paid for the car. You paid $2,500, $3,000, you know, for the vehicle. And it's like, damn, I got to put more money than what, you know what I mean? I got the battery's costing me more than, you know what I mean, what I paid for the car. So just stay away from those cars. Especially if you're getting them on a real as is. Now, have I bought them before? Yes, I have bought them before, but in the arbitration policy on the green light, it allowed me, you know what I mean? Now each auction is different, so you have to read that auction's arbitration policy. And it wasn't in there, so I called the auction. I said, hey, on this hybrid, you know what I mean? If I get a post-sale inspection, if I buy it, you know what I mean? If something's going on with the battery because if it's over $800, you know what I mean, you can get full money back guarantee. And they say, yeah, it does. The arbitration policy does cover if it has a bad battery. And I ended up, you know, winning a bid because I had a lady. She wanted a hybrid. So I ended up winning that bid and ended up flipping that car and making like about a $3,500 profit. But I made sure first that if I had an issue with that battery, you know what I mean, I could get full money back guarantee. So very, very important, man. Man, I'm telling you, you'll spend a lot of money. I've seen dealers lose it. You know what I mean? They have to run that car back through the auction. Which, you know, now if you make a mistake and you end up with a hybrid or hybrid EV with a bad battery, you know, let me give you some solutions what you can do to get out of that car. You can put that car online. You can post it. You can post that car as what's called a mechanic special. you know what I mean, and say that car sells for 6,000 or 6,500, you can put it online and say, hey, mechanic special has a battery issue. Put it on there maybe for 3,500, just discount it because you never know who will see that car. Some mechanics may have a connect, you know what I mean? They may already have a battery for that vehicle. It just needs to get programmed. So you can try that and try to at least break even or maybe make a small profit. The second thing you can do is you can run that car back through the auction or any auction. So us as dealers, you know what I mean? We call this wholesaling, and I'll get into wholesaling in a minute because a lot of people ask me about wholesaling. I've wholesaled, prior before and made a lot of money wholesaling. But as a dealer, we can run a car back through any dealer auction. We can run a car back through Manheim, Odessa, Auto Nation, American Auto Auction. We can run a cars back through. So you can try to run that car back through and, you know what I mean, dump it off onto another dealer or, someone else that may have a battery or may, have a mechanic or, may have a situation where they can, they don't mind bidding or buying that vehicle at a price that what close to what you got for you. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna lose. You're gonna have to run it back and take a loss. And then the third thing you can do is, just wholesale. You know what I mean? So you got a mechanical special. You know what I mean? You just try to retail it, or you know what I mean? You can just run it back through. So those are some things that you can try to do when you get caught with one of those vehicles. But 9 times out of 10, you're gonna take a loss. Me, I usually just run it back through. If I had to take a $500,000 loss, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I can go buy other vehicles, and I just make up for it. So let's say if I bought that car for 3,000, I run it back through the auction. I only get 2,000. Now I have a $1,000 loss. No big deal. I just take that 2,000, buy something at the auction. You know what I mean, for around 1,800, $2,000. Flip that. You know what I mean, for let's say 4,500. Now I made a $2,500 profit minus my $1,000 loss on the other vehicle, so I'm still up 1,500. You know what I mean? So I have had to do that several times when I first started. You know what I mean? But me, I'm a volume guy. I like selling a lot of cars. You know what I'm saying? I would move 30 to 40 cars a month. So I would just get up off of it quick. You know what I mean? Some people will hold on to it for 3-4 weeks, trying to break even or trying to make a profit on that vehicle. So it just depends. Every dealer is different, but me, I'll just let it go and take my losses, and move on to the next vehicle and make it up on, the next vehicle. That's just the best way to do it. So any questions, guys? But yeah, drop your questions in the chat. Drop your questions or ask your questions, and I'll go over the questions with you. But but stay away from those like hybrid vehicles, like I said, unless you can get that post-sale inspection. Now, if you get the post-sale inspection, a lot of people get the 7-day post-sale inspection. It's just, 7 days for me is not enough. You know what I mean? I like to get the 14-day guarantee for an extra $20, $30. You know what I mean? Why not get an extra week? So I've had dealers, pay for that 7-day, and the 8th or 9th day, man, they having problems with the vehicle. And I'm like, dude, bro, for an extra $20-$30, man, just go ahead and get the 14-day guarantee. So it just helps you sleep at night, knowing that you got a warranty. A lot of times I will sell that green light vehicle within 3-4 days, and I let them know, hey, this vehicle's still under a 10-day warranty, guy. If anything goes wrong with it, and that's a selling key point. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, man, I got an extra 10-day warranty. Yes, I have what's called a post-sale inspection, guys. So you can sell that post-sale inspection warranty in with the vehicle with the customer. So let them know, hey, it's 10 days left on this post-sale inspection. If anything goes wrong, let me know. You get full money back guarantee. And that ensures the customer, man, a lot of times you can sell, you can sell your cars even much faster. You can sell them at full price with that PSI. So take advantage of that, man. Don't be cheap trying to get a 7-day post-sale inspection. Just go ahead and get the 14-day, guys. But drop your questions, guys. Drop your questions. Another thing I wanted to get into was a lot of people asked me about wholesaling. Wholesaling, guys, is where we buy cars at one auction in one market and run them through another auction. For example, I've done this. I've bought cars at Birmingham, Odessa. I bought cars down in Birmingham, Mannheim, and they have sometimes a lower price market. You know what I mean? Sometimes certain places in Tennessee, even at like certain places up North Georgia. So certain as you get out into your suburbs, or a lot of times, man, as you go over to another state, I know a lot of people in the Texas area will buy cars in Oklahoma because Oklahoma, it may be 4, 5, 6 hours up the road, but and Oklahoma has really cheap cars, man. I'm looking at their prices the other day compared to Dallas, you know what I mean, or Houston, and it's like, whoa, you know what I mean? So we call this wholesaling where you may go buy 10 cars. Let's say you go to, let's say I went to Birmingham, Odessa, right? And I bought 10 vehicles, let's say for, $30,000, right? And now I get them transported straight to let's say I want to run them to Mannheim, Atlanta. So I bought them at Odessa, Birmingham. I'm in them 30,000, right? I just take those vehicles straight to Mannheim, Atlanta. Take off the stickers and stuff. You know what I mean? Make sure they're detailed, or I can get Mannheim. The auction will do a detail for a fee. And now you get your lane, and you tell them, hey, I got 10 vehicles. You're going to get a lane number and a run number, right? So you let the auction know, hey, I'm running these cars through. They're gonna write your name on the window. They're gonna write what's called a 5 mil number. That's part of it. When you're a dealer, you're gonna get a 5 mil number. Certain numbers that you're gonna have, so they're gonna write that on there. And now, at the next auction, you can run those cars that you paid at Odessa, Birmingham, that you paid $30,000 for. You can run those same vehicles through, you know what I'm saying, Mannheim, Atlanta, and let's say you get, 40 or 45,000. Now that's a $10,000, $15,000 play. Or let's just say, you know what I'm saying, you make, after expenses and what you pay, to transport them and everything. Let's just say you make only 35,000. Well, you haven't done any work. You just made $5,000 from buying at one auction, right? Getting them transported, them, taking them straight to another auction, and you just made, 4, 5, 6,000. They call that wholesaling, and there are a lot of dealers that don't even sell cars. They just use their dealer's license to just buy from one auction, right, with a lower market, and run them back through another market, and make profits. And if you do that twice a week, you know what I mean? You made, let's say, 4,000 at one auction, and then you made another 5 at one. A lot of guys make 4, 5, 10, 15,000 just wholesaling vehicles every single week. And they're like, man, these guys are making, 20, 30, 40,000 a month just in wholesaling. So take advantage of that. Got a few questions that come in. Should I stay away from electric vehicles and hybrid? Yeah. Let me answer. I just went over that. Yeah. Stay away from hybrids. I want to go over that one more time. Went over that earlier. A lot of students, man, a lot of dealers get burned on those hybrid vehicles because they have battery issues, guys. And let me go over it one more time. I went over it earlier, but I'll answer this question again for it just came in. And the reason is, man, that hybrid battery can be expensive, right? Like I said, on a 2014 Hyundai Sonata, that battery on the low end is going to be $1,500 to $5,000 just for the battery. And like I said, you may only have $2,500, $2,600 in the car. But dang, the battery is going to cost you just as much as you paid for the vehicle. So it's hard to profit, plus labor, because you got to get it programmed. You got to get it put in. So a lot of times it's another $500 to $1,000 just for the labor costs on those vehicles. So yeah, I teach my students, man, to stay away from those hybrid vehicles. Now, have I bought them? Yes, but make sure you can arbitrate it on a green light and you get a post-sale inspection. So if anything goes wrong, you know what I mean, you can get full money back guarantee. But make sure it's arbitratable. Like every auction is different. So make sure You know what I mean? It's either in their website that shows, hey, if I buy a hybrid vehicle and this battery is bad, I can arbitrate it and get out of it. Or if you don't see it, make sure you call the arbitration department and ask them, you know what I mean? Is this an arbitratable offense? Meaning that I find out 2 days, 3 days later, 5 days later, that I'm going to have to go spend 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 for a hybrid battery, I get my full money back guaranteed. That's the only way I'm going to buy a hybrid vehicle. Too many dealers I've seen lose $2, $3, $4, $5,000 and get burned from buying hybrid vehicles, especially the as is ones. So make sure you check with the auction before buying a hybrid. Hey, coach, can you go over green light arbitration policy? Yeah, I go over green light. Very, 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 very important. Okay, so a lot of people get confused with the green light arbitration policy. So green light is the auction is selling that vehicle, or the seller, right? The bank, the finance company, whether that's Wells Fargo, Santander, Bridgecrest, let's say Gwinnett Honda, whatever, you know what I'm saying, franchise dealership, whoever it is, they're selling that vehicle guaranteeing you that that vehicle has any unknown major defects, right? Major defects meaning your transmission, transfer case, drive axle, your engine, that's top end, lower end. So any of your major components, they're guaranteeing that nothing is wrong with that. If something is wrong with it, you get full money back guarantee. Now, a lot of people think that if the radio is not working, they can arbitrate it. That's not an arbitratable policy for a green light vehicle. Your headlight not working, you know what I mean? Because that's something that they consider, very, very minor. Your brakes are screwed. You can't arbitrate because you need a set of $40, $50 brake pads. You know what I mean? It has to be something major that's going to be over, a lot of times, depending on the auction, some of them it has to be greater than $600 in price to repair it. Some of them it has to be more than $800 to repair. Some auctions I've seen it where it has to be more than $1,000 in order to repair it. So it has to be a major, major, major component, right? Then, if it is on a green light, you can get what's called a PSI. PSI is just a guarantee that if anything, you have to pay extra though for this PSI, right? Whether that's the 7-day PSI or the 14-day. I suggest getting the 14-day, and all that PSI is what's called a post-sale inspection, and that lets you know if anything goes wrong with that vehicle within 14 days, you get full money back guarantee. You can get out and dog it. You can floor it up and down I-20, 285, whatever you want to do. If anything, if that transmission starts jerking or acting up, if the engine, it gives you an engine problem, you find out it's got engine sludge or whatever, the auction will give you full money back guarantee. Now, also, guys, a lot of auctions, have put this in place. A lot of dealers will sell a vehicle on a green light, but it doesn't qualify because at Odessa, remember, it has to be more than $2,500. At Manheim, they changed it to it has to be more than $3,000. So let's say you get a green light vehicle and you win the bid at $2,300. It does not qualify no more for a PSI. It still qualifies for arbitration. What is arbitration? You still can arbitrate it because you bought that vehicle on a green light. I saved a student, Clay, out in Missouri last week. He bought a 2019 Ford Fiesta, and it had transmission problems. I said it did not qualify. He won the bid for $2,800, so he didn't meet the $3,000 or more threshold. However, they still ran it on a green light, so it still qualified for arbitration. What is arbitration is? Any major components, remember, you know what I mean? So you have to arbitrate it the day of. I said, hey, man, go pay for that vehicle. Make sure, it does not, because he tried to get the PSI on it, and they said it did not, in the app, it showed it did not qualify for a PSI because the bid that he won was $2,800. It was not over $3,000. So in the app, he was wondering why can't I get a PSI? So when he called, they said it doesn't qualify because, you won the bid under $3,000. But I told him, I said, hey, you still can arbitrate. Get up there, pay for that vehicle, test drive it, make sure it's not having any problems. He said, Coach, man, this vehicle is the transmission is slipping on it. I said, go arbitrate it, you know what I mean, and you can get your money back. Found out they verified it that the transmission was slipping, and he got full money back because he arbitrated that the day of that he bought it. So a lot of people get confused on the green light. It's just a guarantee that, hey, you can get out of a vehicle if it's not what they say it is. So very, very important, guys. Take advantage. Take advantage of that green light. It's very, very important. Okay. Is the upcoming tax season, which vehicles are hot and buy to sell? Okay, tax season, tax season, tax season, guys. My favorite question. I get excited, man. I don't care, you know what I mean? If you got 10 cars for tax season, all 10 are going to go. I don't care. I've sold 60, 70 cars just in the month of February because people get money and they want to, one of the number one things they want to do is buy a vehicle. A lot of people right now are waiting to get their income taxes. For us, it's the best time of the year. That's when dealers make the most money. Towards the end of January. Why towards the end of January? Well, a lot of people get their last pay stub. And with their last pay stub, they can go to places like an H&R Block. And let's say they're getting $7,000 back on their income taxes. H&R Block will give them an advance. So they may give him $3,000-$4,000 up front, and they'll get the rest, you know what I mean, later. So they with the last pay stub. So you'll get a small wave sometimes mid to the end of January. I may sell, 8, 9, 10 cars real quick. Then February is going to hit. That's when things are going to take off. That's when most people start getting their income taxes. Checks start coming back in between February and March. And like I tell my students, I'm pushing them right now. Buy. You know what I mean? Especially in the month of October, November, December, when prices are really cheap. Even sometimes at the beginning of January, you still can get good deals and buy and accumulate as much as you can, because I don't care if you got 50 cars in February. I don't care if you got 10 cars. Everything is going to fly off the radar super, super, super quick. So, yeah, that's my favorite part. But, yeah, which vehicles are hot? I like cheaper economy cars. I would say my top 5 or my top 6 is I like the Mazda. Mazda do really, really well. The Honda CRVs are hot sellers. The Kia Optima, Kia Forte, those do really well. The Hyundai Sonata, Hyundai Elantra, those do very, very well. Do very, very well too. But all of these cars, guys, make sure you drive them. Make sure you check them out. Make sure you put your code reader on them. You know what I mean? Because some of those vehicles could have issues, but you want to put that auto dealer startup, that 20-point inspection check on these vehicles. The Nissan Altima, Nissan Sentra, those do very, very well. As you can see in school, man, the students are killing those. You know what I mean? I would sell a lot of Nissan Altimas, Nissan Sentras, but be careful. They have that CVT transmission. You know what I mean? They're known for, you know what I mean, that transmission is known sometimes to have problems. When you got a good one, you got a good one. But when you got a bad one, man, it can cost you a lot of money to replace that transmission. So I teach everybody, either buy it on a green light, get a PSI on it, or, you know what I mean, if you buy it as is, make sure you test drive it right up and down the track. Test drive it again for a second time. Let it sit for maybe 10, 15 minutes. Let it get hot, and then test drive it a third time. Anytime you're buying anything Nissan, I don't care if it's, Nissan Sentra, Nissan Altima, anything Nissan, make sure you test drive it very, very good. Code reader, you go through the full inspection. But people love them. You know what I mean? I do really, really well with the Nissan Altimas and Nissan Sentras. And my number one, man, is the Ford Fusion. We used to be able to get those at the auction very, very cheap. People have caught on to them the last maybe year. But, man, 2-3 years ago, man, you could get Ford Fusions, bro, you can get a 2015, 2016 Ford Fusion sometimes for like $2,000, $1,800, $2,200. But I have noticed that a lot of dealers are starting to catch on to them. But yeah, that used to be my number one seller to flip, man, because I could get them so cheap. and people, people like them, man. They would sell really good. I would sell them for 5,000, 5,500, 6,000 all day long. So I would say those are my top five, six, sellers right there. Those cheaper economy cars, they sell really, 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 really fast. But just like I tell people, like I tell my students, drive through your local Walmart, Kroger, mall, shopping mall, and all cars sell. Just look around. A lot of people say, well, what cars sell, man? Just go to your local Walmart and just drive. You'll see, Ford Fusion. You'll see Nissan Altima. You'll see a Hyundai Sonata, Hyundai Elantra, Kia Forte, Kia Optima, Mazda. You know what I mean? So Mazda 6. So you'll just see, all kind of cars. But I like to teach you guys the cheaper economy cars because it doesn't matter what the market is. You could have the stock market could crash, man. Those little cars that sell for 2,500, 3,500, 4,500, man, those cars sell year round. I don't care who's in office, whether it's a Democratic, whether it's a Republican, it does not matter. I don't care if it's, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, it does not matter. Those cars sell, year round. I got guys that, like Johnny, he sells a lot of the $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 car, and he can't keep them. Fernando out in Virginia, man, every time he buys a BMW or a Nissan Sentra, some of those cars he dropped inside of the school, inside of our school community. Man, go see some of those cars. He sells them within 24 hours, 12 hours, 10 hours. You know what I mean? You could be amazed at some of the posts that he posts. That, man, he like, Coach, man, I picked up this car, for $1,000, man, and sold it for 2,500 in less than 12 hours. I picked up this car for 800. I picked up this car for 1,200. So those 2,500, 3,000, $3,500 cars, you can get really good cars. You know what I mean, for those prices. And man, you can flip those cars, like I said, and make a quick 1,200, 1,500, 2,000 on a lot of those flips. So yeah, the cheaper economy cars, and even on the rental side, you know what I mean, even through whether you want to use Turo or you want to use your private car rental, man, those cars, the Kia, the Honda Accord, Toyota Corolla, Toyota Camry, those cars, man, those just economy cars. A lot of times, man, I would have those cars on a 30-day cycle. Man, those cars would be gone, 25, 26, 27 days out of the month. You know what I mean? I may get it in for a quick detail cleanup, and then the next thing you know, it's already booked to go right back up. Why? People are looking for that $35 a day, $45, $55 a day rental. A lot of people ain't trying to pay $150 a day for a rental. They just want to pay something that they can afford. So always stick to that economy, cheaper economy market, man, and you can make a lot of money in the car business. All right, next question. At CarMax, do they also stand behind a vehicle that may have structural damage announcement? Okay, great question. So here's how CarMax works. And I buy a lot of cars from CarMax. I would buy sometimes 8, 9 cars at a time from CarMax. CarMax has a very good program because they tell you you can't test drive them. However, they tell you what's going on with that vehicle. So in their announcements, if something's going on with the transmission, it's going to say transmission defect. If something's going on with the engine, it's going to say engine defect. If it's structural damage, they're going to tell you a structural damage. If it has structural damage and it does not, they don't announce it, CarMax will give you full money back guarantee right there. Right, I'm telling you, literally can go in, pay for that car. I like CarMax because they accept cash too. You can do cash, you can do wire, you can do cashier's check, right? But what I liked about CarMax, man, I would buy 8 or 9 cars, and they didn't announce structural damage, and it has structural damage. It's been hit, the frame or something like that. And they will, you can arbitrate it. They'll send their technician out and confirm structural damage or whatever it is. And here's the great thing about CarMax. They will knock money. You have the choice. They say, hey, we'll give you full money back guarantee, or they'll knock something off of whatever you won that bid for. Let's say you won that bid for, let's say $1,800, right? and you say, "Will you give it to me for 12?" They may say, "Well, we'll let you take it for 14." So they'll work with you. They'll negotiate with you. So I've won a lot of deals, um, even on the transmission. Transmission, it just needed a transmission mount. So they may say transmission defect because they don't know what's going on with it. CarMax is not going to spend a lot of time to figure it out. So they'll just put on their transmission defect. All it needs is a transmission mount or an engine mount. You know what I mean? And so they'll knock something off. You won that bid for $1,200. Next thing you know what I mean? You walk out of there with that car for $800. I've done it time and time and time again. Went and got a mount, got it put on, transmission mount, 30, $40, 60, 70, $80. My mechanic put it on and sold that car and made $3,000, $4,000. So that's the one great thing about CarMax here. So if they don't announce it and it has structural damage, you know what I mean? CarMax will give you full money back. You know what I mean? So CarMax is another great auction. Sometimes dealers complain because they think the prices there can be a little pricey. They can. However, you can get your deals at CarMax. You know what I mean? Because they're running sometimes 6, 7, 800 cars, guys. You know what I mean? They may run 200 cars, but all you worried about is that 201, that 202 that you got a great deal on. You caught that BMW X7 for $3,800 that's worth $7,000. You know what I mean? So I've seen it. I've had it. You just with CarMax, you have to do your research and you have to be patient. You know what I mean? CarMax, you can go. CarMax runs on Mondays in Atlanta. You can the thing about CarMax is they give you 2 preview days. You can preview on Fridays from 8 to 5, and you can previews on Saturday from 8 to 5. So, but it's a very, very good auction, man. Very reputable auction, man. Very transparent, very honest. You know what I mean? And like I said, they will give you your money back that day. You don't have to wait like at Manheim or Odessa. They're going to send you a check back. So, you may have to wait a few days in order to get your full money back. What I like about CarMax is you get money back. You're right back. The same way you paid them, they put it right back in your hand. So, but yeah, that's the great thing about CarMax for someone who's asking. That was the question, guys. Do they stand behind their vehicles if they announce structural damage? Yeah, CarMax stands behind their vehicles on structural damage, engine defects, transmission defects. You know what I mean? Anything. You know what I'm saying? Anything in they stand by 100%, guys. So CarMax is another great auction, man. If you guys aren't hooked up with them, for all of my dealers and all of my dealer reps, man, for you guys that want to become dealer reps, tap in with me. I do have a lot of dealer reps in my program as well, where you can come up under our dealership and have the same benefits that I have. Everything that I can do, you can do. And for all my dealers, man, definitely, man, add CarMax to one of your auctions. You know what I mean? All right. So one of my guys is asking, what are my top 5 auctions? Okay, guys, my top 5 auctions are my number 1 is Manheim. Manheim is the largest auction in the U.S. So I love Manheim. The reason I like Manheim is sometimes, man, they may run 1,000 cars, 2,000 cars. You know what I mean? They have just so many cars. You have no choice but to get great deals. So I like Manheim. I like their policy, but I like the plethora of inventory. It's just so much inventory. I don't care what you need, they have it. I don't care if it's Highline. I bought cars from Manheim as low as $400 cars on up to $250,000. So that's the great thing about Manheim, is because they have so many vehicles. That's why I would say Manheim is my number 1. My number 2 is Odessa, which is the second largest auction in the world. I like Odessa, especially for my red light cars. Why do I like Odessa? Odessa allows you to test drive. You know what I'm saying? That's so important, especially for my new dealers, man. It's so important, man. This is not a gamble. You don't have to gamble in the car business. You know what I mean? This is a money-making, guarantee you to make money if you have the proper skill set. That's where I come in at, man. I love teaching. You guys will find me at the auction 4 or 5 days out of the week. I live at the auction. You know what I mean? I'm at the auction more than I'm at my office. I'm at the auction more than I'm at my home because that's where the money is. You know what I mean? So in order to do this business, man, you have to be at the auction. So my second my second most profitable auction is Odessa, and I said the reason is because on the as is cars you can test drive, you can bring in your code reader, and you can check it. You can fully check out those cars. You know what I mean? My number three, I would say, is American Auto Auction. You can test drive there too as well. So I really like American Auto Auction. My number four, I would say, is CarMax. CarMax, man, they tell you what's going on with the vehicle. But a lot of dealers, those are the lazy man auction. You know what I mean? Because you ain't got to do no work. They're gonna tell you everything, but you're gonna pay a lot of times a little bit more on some cars. Sometimes I get amazing deals from CarMax. I'm like, wow, I won this bid at this price, or I won that at that price. So I would say my number four auction is CarMax, and my fifth I would say is AutoNation. Those are my top five auctions that I like to buy. Uh, so hey guys, I want to wrap it up. If you guys got any last questions, you can drop those questions in the chat. But yeah, just wanted to go over some few things, guys, about red light, green light, yellow light, blue light. My top, you know what I'm saying, cars that I like to, you know what I mean, that I like to buy and what I teach the students. Wanted to share with you guys a few things when it comes to wholesaling, and then you know what I mean, my top five auctions that I like to purchase from that I think are the best. You know what I mean, from my experience, other dealers that buy a lot of cars, dealers of mine that sell 20, 30, 40 cars a week. These are the auctions that they buy to and do very, very, very well. So if we don't have any last questions, going once, going twice, guys, I will be back. We will do another live, probably shoot for Saturday this week. Man, I'll come on again with you guys and open it up for Q&A and answer you guys' questions. But if you want any other information, look at I'll drop that down below. And guys, no last questions. We out. Peace. Have a good one.